Welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen's Call podcast with host Lane Nordland.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cattlemen's Call podcast. Lane Nordland with you here today. And as we make our way through December 2025, a perfect Christmas gift, if you have not done so yet, is to buy your loved one a trip to Nashville for CattleCon 2026. It's going to be a great time there in Music City, USA. And I tell you what, one of our guests here today, we have two guests. But before we get to Buck Wehrbein, president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, we're joined by Jimmy Yeary. He is one of our keynote speakers at this year's event in Nashville. He'll be wrapping things up with the final general session of the event. And Jimmy, what are you thinking about with all these cattlemen and women coming to town here for our 2026 convention?
Hey, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun. Listen. I'm excited when any group comes to Nashville. I'm always excited to get to know people I don't know, find out who hasn't been to Nashville, and get to experience the Nashville scene. And no matter who you are, it's an amazing town, and to be able to come and experience the learning and networking and all those things in such. I've been here almost 30 years, and I still absolutely love it. So any event, any occasion that I can go hang out down there, I still enjoy it. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
Well, Jimmy, just like this podcast, we like telling stories of producers, the struggles they have, the successes that they have, and to help them just find a path and be better beef producers out in the countryside. And you, of course, are a storyteller yourself, writing songs that so many of our audience are familiar with. What sparked your interest in music and being a storyteller and being able to capture what comes across in your mind, or a melody that you might hear in your head? What has that process been like, and how do you take that storytelling and share that with attendees at events like CattleCon?
Yeah, uh, you've got to be a little bit. We're all a little bit crazy, and so just having kind of accepting that, embracing that hey, we were all flawed. We have our triumphs, we have our tragedies. We've all not been loved like we want to be loved. We've all been in love. We've all been angry. We've been taking all of these stories are just what I do to write songs, and I have for years. Like Tim McGraw or Kenny Chesney or even Michael Bublé, for that matter. These artists don't come to me because I'm gonna. Tim's not coming to me because I saying I need a song about being in a cornfield drinking a bunch of moonshine with a girl in cutoffs. He calls me for the stories. Bublé knows that I've been working with him on his new record, and it's stories. And so I learned a long time ago that my goofy little dysfunctional imperfect life can make for unique ingredients that I can utilize in these songs to cause oftentimes millions of people to gravitate towards my stories. And so it was a light bulb aha moment for me years ago when I realized that anybody can do this. I can take any life, I can take your life, and I could write hit songs for the rest of my life. I would just utilize my stories. And all a song is a relationship, a story is a relationship. And if I can do that in a song, I can do that with an individual, with a company, with an organization, with a team. And and so it's really just about being imperfect but just using your own original, awesome, authentic, vulnerable story to connect oftentimes within seconds with other people. So that's really what I try to help people understand is hey, whatever your story is, you may have thought it wasn't a great story or that you couldn't use it and it be of value. I'm going to prove to you you're wrong. And that's my ultimate goal.
Now, for so many years, ranchers and beef producers have been told to tell their stories. And back in the day when I wore the blue corduroy FFA jacket, every convention we went to, there was somebody talking about you got to be able to share your story. And Facebook was barely a thing back when I was in high school and college. It was just getting going, and that's been a way for people to share their stories. But we also know social media can also be a pain in the neck too.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you'll share? I don't want to give away the whole speech either, but how can producers come and listen to your message, walk away, and be better storytellers themselves about the land they take care of, the cattle that they raise, and the beef that they hopefully will get on the plate of consumers across the nation and the world?
Well, yes, there's so much talk about, hey, tell your story. And companies oftentimes want me to say, hey, what's the story? Help us describe the story of our company or what have you. And really, it's ultimately about building trust. We're all trying to gain some trust. That's the only reason that ultimately that our stories of great value is I can tell you I have kids and that doesn't connect us whatsoever. You don't really you hear me, but you don't feel anything there. I can tell you my kids drive me crazy. I'm starting to tap into my story, but if this week, I promise you, if I hear one more argument about who's better at Fortnite, I'm going to choke out one of my boys. Like, that's my story. And when I tell you that, you laugh. When I tell you that, you smile bigger. When I tell you that, I remind you that, hey, this guy's human. When I tell you that, I give you powerful information, and that information is that I'm imperfect, that I get aggravated, that I have kids that drive me nuts sometimes. And you think of Fortnite, you think of games, you think of the be in the room, you think of come to supper, you think there's so many layers to just sharing our story. But ultimately, it's reminding people that, hey, this is somebody across from me that trusts me enough to tell me their story. I trust them more. And people don't necessarily follow those they agree with. They follow those they trust. They don't necessarily buy from those people that maybe have the best product always, but they'll buy from those they trust. And they'll say, hey, here's my money. I trust you. I know who you are. I don't feel like you would do me wrong. Here we go. And it's some of the greatest businesses are formed and fostered because of the ability of people. I see it in the music industry all the time, in the record labels, the publishing companies, the management companies. It's just the people that can tell stories and connect with others are the most successful and grow.
When you sit down to write a song, whether it's Tim McGraw calling you up and trying to hash out some themes and some stories there, how has the writing process evolved for you? What was the first song you ever wrote? Maybe it was a small ditty when you were young, or I don't know your backstory there all that well, but how has that process evolved over the years?
Well, that's yeah, it feels like that. That's a great question. Over the years, it feels as though one of the greatest tools that I've acquired, and and I continue to try to hone it, and that is being really willing to get it wrong. And you hear all the time, hey, don't be afraid to fail, but listen, it is the lifeblood of creativity, is your willingness to, I call it what not to do. I hurry up. Let's find out what we shouldn't do. If I get in a room, I really don't most of the time know what I'm going to write, because writing can be really arduous. It can be really competitive. It can be, what's already been done and how do I reinvent this and da 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 da. But I'm just going to utilize, I want to just throw out ideas and stories and a story of the day and what I'm going on in my life. Hey, what's going on in your life? Hey, what have we learned? What's a technique that's making life easier? Have you lost anybody? Have you fallen in love? Do you know somebody who has? You got a kid in the family? I mean, all this stuff. Let's figure out what we can write about and then connect with other people, because we're all not that different at all, and our stories are different, but emotionally we're all the same. And but I tell you, it's again a great question. It's just becoming willing to go, hey, I'm going to spit this out. I'm going to say this. This is wrong. Okay, good. How about this? Okay, you don't like that. How about this? Oh, you don't like that. How about this? Oh, you like that. Good. Now we're on a path, and continuing that process of failure to find out what not to do, and therefore get a more clear picture as what is the correct path to the target we're after. Yeah, that's one of the greatest processes for me. If I got in a room with you right now and you said, hey, I want to write a song, here we go. Well, I would just start throwing out stuff, knowing that the predominantly going to be wrong, but just seeking what moves us both. And I used to be scared to do that. And I see young writers and young creators and young business people, for that matter, and young salespeople afraid to kind of get it wrong. And getting it wrong is not a bad thing. Getting it wrong creates vulnerability, and vulnerability can be attractive when somebody already knows you're smart and that you don't have to prove yourself to. So there's lots of layers to that.
What is your go-to instrument when you're writing a song?
Man, I play guitar predominantly. I'll mess. I love what a banjo does to my ear. I'm not a traditional banjo player. I love bluegrass and all that. And but yeah, I've got. But a mandolin will create. A certain and different guitars. There's a gut string guitar is going to create a different song than a regular guitar, and an old Martin is going to be different. Than a Taylor, and it's and so when you find a guitar, as when I find a guitar that moves me, or I really try to hold on to it and get all the songs out of it I can because it creates a certain emotion.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I prefer the Gibson since we make those the
yes,
acoustics up here in Montana. So
yeah. I've got a couple old Gibsons, and I absolutely love them. Yeah,
Well, again, I don't want to give away your whole speech, but for our folks that are listening to this, that are coming to CattleCon, or maybe thinking, "Hey, let's get registered for February 3rd through the 5th, 2026 for CattleCon coming to Music City, USA." What's one thing that folks should do? Obviously, Broadway, everyone hits Broadway and goes through there, but where's maybe a sweet spot that maybe folks should check out that isn't maybe in the limelights there on Broadway?
golly. I mean, yeah, you could spend a month and one night on Broadway. But Yeah, there's, I mean, just touching on Broadway, of course, there's just 20, 30 clubs of just different bands playing great country music, classic, new, pop. I mean, they're playing everything. Um, I don't frequent those places anymore because yeah, I just don't. But oh my goodness, it's so fun, and it's a very safe city. It's so much culture, and again, so much good music. But I mean, you're not going to have time probably to go. Maybe to the Opry or to different songwriting events and different places. My wife's a member of the Grand Ole Opry. She's with a group called the Isaacs, and so she just played night before last. But yeah, I would they've turned Broadway into such a to different degrees of the entertainment and clientele that it really fits all kind of. Again, if you was trying to get in and out and get all the fun you can have, there's something for everybody, and it seems like every Jason Aldean, Blake Shelton, everybody, even Morgan Wallen, he's still throwing furniture off the balcony, I think. So it's no, I don't know. I love Morgan. I'm kidding, but who knows what's going to happen on Broadway? It's there's always something new to see there. Yeah.
Well, again, for all of our folks listening that have not yet checked out that schedule, do so. And folks actually will have the chance to catch one of two performances there. It's Cowboys Night at the Opry at the Ryman Auditorium. Show one kicks
Yeah.
off at 7, show 2 at 9 p.m. Our friends at Caterpillar sponsoring that. That's going to be a pretty great event for folks that truly have. We've been out at the Opryland in the past and gone to the Opry House, but going to the Mother Church, that's going to be pretty. That's going to be an experience for folks to attend, don't you think?
Oh, I mean, come on. I still get goosebumps going into that place, the Mother Church. It's amazing. Yeah, it's such a great experience. From everything from the Opryland Hotel to, again, I don't know what everybody's going to be able to see, but going to the Ryman, the Mother Church, the Opry House, and all of that, it really is a pretty incredible experience. And I'm looking forward. Listen, my talk entails so much of many of these hits that people have almost definitely heard. I mean, these have been substantial CMA, ACM award-winning, Grammy-nominated songs, and that I perform. I'm not a horrendous singer, so I'm able to entertain and tell some of the stories about the relationships with a lot of these artists that people know and love and have been listening to for years. And then I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm gonna write a song with everybody there. And don't ask me how I'm going to do it. I never know how I'm going to do it, but somehow it always happens that we are going to write a song. They will not leave that place without a song being written about them and that group. And so I look forward to it. I love it.
Well, again, that closing general session where Jimmy Yeary will be speaking, that's going to be 4 p.m. to 5:30 there, Nashville time, for that closing general session. And then a little bit later, we'll be heading to the Ryman for performance 1 or 2 of all the festivities there in downtown Nashville. But Jimmy, I want to thank you for taking time here today. I'm excited to hear you speak in person down there and welcome us and help us conclude our events in Nashville.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm truly looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Well, again, friends, Jimmy Yeary, you can hear him in person at CattleCon 2026 at the closing general session in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, friends, don't go too far. We'll be back with NCBA President Buck Wehrbein. But with that, Jimmy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See y'all.
All right, we'll continue answering the Cattlemen's Call. We'll be back right after this. Well, as we come back to our conversation here today on the Cattlemen's Call, we are focused on CattleCon 26, and we just had a great conversation with Jimmy Yeary, who will be closing out as our keynote speaker at the closing general session. And I tell you what, it's going to be a fun time in Nashville. And not too long ago, NCBA President Buck Wehrbein and I were actually in Nashville getting a glimpse of what was in store for this year's event. And Buck, I tell you what, it was great to see Nashville and not have a bunch of meetings and important policy to attend to. But what are you looking forward to with CattleCon coming up here in just a few short weeks as we gather for the cattle industry event?
Yeah, thanks, Lane. I always enjoy the general sessions. Looking forward to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and then John Acuff, and as you said, Jimmy Yeary. Living life well is more art than science, and I think these guys are going to give us some good insight into that. And so, looking forward to that. The DC update's always great. Even at being an officer, I get it all the time. It's still fun to hear it there, and I'd say those are the highlights that I'm looking for, although there's way more than that.
Now, for folks that have attended in the past, or maybe that this is their first time, are there any new features that folks can experience this year, whether it's educational sessions, the trade show, or that next generation of leaders, making sure they have an opportunity to attend the event?
Sure, there are indeed. This year, for the first time, Cattlemen's College is available to all registered attendees. And Cattlemen's College is a really good educational opportunity that I hope lots of people take advantage of. And you don't have to be signed up special for that. Another one is Next Generation Day. That's on a Thursday for the 4-H, FFA, collegiate folks and whatnot. I've been talking about that as I travel around this year. Sandy and I were on the Young Cattlemen's conference a year ago, last summer, and was so impressed with the young people. And so I've encouraged us old geezers to look at some of these young people coming up and maybe doing some mentoring for them, and the young people to look for some older people to do some mentoring with them, and a real opportunity there, I think. I had a guy I worked for down in Texas years ago that said his dad told him it took 100 years to learn everything there was to know about the cattle business, and then it's too late. So to get a little head start on that with mentors and mentees, I think is a real opportunity.
Now, one of the best, as you mentioned, that is truly one of the best aspects of the convention that is free. The conversations, the people you get to see, and the opportunity to learn from each other, maybe even get a few business deals done along with that too. And that part of the convention comes free, and it is the friendship, seeing people, and really that trade show really does bring people together, whether it's the demonstration arena or the learning lounges that take place. But there's a lot of receptions, a lot of opportunities for folks to rub elbows, see new friends, but meet new friends along the way too.
Correct, and see old friends and reacquaint and so forth. You mentioned the trade show lounges, the happy hour receptions, Boots on Broadway at Category 10. I don't know what Category 10 is, but it's going to be great. and the Roto Mixer pre-party. There's those events that are sanctioned and official, but then there's all the opportunities to just sit down and have an adult beverage or an iced tea and visit. And between the exhibitors and then all of the NCBA officers and leadership and so forth, there's a lot of opportunity to get together with people and get some insights into what's going on, what's new.
Well, that Category 10 is a pretty nifty building right there on Broadway, Buck. The night you and I had dinner at the Italian restaurant, a bottle of white, a bottle of red, that Billy Joel song, of course. When we were after dinner, I walked over to there, and it's quite the building. It's like 3 or 4 levels. They got a rooftop, and they had live music. So that'll be pretty cool, that Category 10 event, too, there on Broadway. And of course, the Roto Mixer pre-party before we head over to one of 2 performances there for the Cowboys night at the Ryman. And we were just talking with Jimmy about that. That is the mother church of country music. And so I'm looking forward to being able to go back there and listen to music and just wrap up this year's event. And, you know, as we look at the convention itself, I should mention there is that first timer meetup, Buck, that's going to be taking place on Tuesday after the opening general session right there on the trade show floor. Why is it important for folks of all ages, if this is their first time attending the event, to go to that and meet some folks or maybe see some folks they know?
After having seen that opening general session, then you get an opportunity to meet people and get off to a good start on the convention. It's not complicated, but on the other hand, like anything any endeavor you do, you need to do it right, get it kicked off right, and that's a great way to do that so that you take full advantage of it. You're going to spend a lot of time there. It's not cheap, and we know that. We do the best we can with what these events cost, but they cost what they cost. And so you want to get all you can out of it, and that's a great way to get that kicked off.
And when we look at it, from your opinion on it, what are the top 3 reasons why it's worth attending this event?
Well, for me, I think it's education, networking, and then observing NCBA at work. There's a lot of work done by the committees and on the policy side and the checkoff side, and to step in and watch a little of that and see that going on, the inner workings, is very, very helpful. And to give people confidence that their association is serious about this, works hard at it, they got good leaders doing it. You know, this association is run by producers, real producers. And to see that for yourself, I think is invaluable. And so I think those are probably the 3 main reasons. And then the fourth one is, and maybe the most important one, is it's fun.
And since we are in Nashville, who is your all-time favorite country singer?
It would probably be Jim Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
Way back. Almost a perfect voice.
Gentleman Jim Reeves. I mean, one of my favorite songs of his is He'll Have to Go.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I know Ronnie Millsap, he covered that in the 80s, but that Jim Reeves, I mean, he's almost like the Frank Sinatra of country music. I don't know if that's an appropriate analysis, but God, he has a silky smooth voice there that truly, I'm going to have to go listen to some of his songs right after this.
There's a great story about him when he was a boy picking cotton, and one of the women said, "That boy done gone to heaven and stole the voice of an angel."
Well,
you know, he didn't have a lot of happy songs, but they were good.
Yep.
And then of course, you know, the classic Johnny Cash and all those guys.
Yep. Well, again, I've been to Nashville several times. First time I went, I think I was a freshman, sophomore in high school, and went with my mom to a few conservation district meetings down there. Got to go to the Opry at the Ryman as well, and got to purchase a Gibson guitar that they make in Montana, the acoustics, but they sell them down there. But I love Nashville, and I'm looking forward to seeing yourself and so many other folks heading down to Music City for CattleCon 26. Buck, anything else before I let you get back to your day?
Well, I got a joke. You won't be able to put it on the air, I'm sure, but about the gal that beat her husband to death with his guitar collection. And when she was arraigned, the judge said, first offender? She said, no, first a Gibson, then a Fender.
I think we can leave that one in there. But again, Buck Wehrbein, president of NCBA. Check out CattleCon online. There's still time to get registered. It makes a great Christmas gift. And of course, no better time to head down to Music City, USA, get some business done, look at all the trade show opportunities, and of course, help advance the future of the cattle business. So Buck, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks a million, Lane. Good to talk to you.
With that, friends, thanks for joining us. Great conversations today with Jimmy Yeary and Mr. Buck Wehrbein here on the Cattlemen's Call. We look forward to seeing you live from the trade show floor. We will be capturing a few of these podcast conversations. Until then, I'm Lane Northland. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to NCBA's Cattlemen's Call podcast with Lane Nordland. For more information, visit ncba.org and make sure to subscribe to the podcast today.